What is going on, guys? Welcome back. We're going over a War of the Visions character that's made his way over to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and that is going to be Gilgamesh. He is going to stand aside as a new type of hybrid damage dealing unit. This is because he isn't traditionally like a normal hybrid. He actually has both physical and magical damaging attacks, and you can pick between the two of them. So if you want to do a bunch of magic damage, you gear him for magic. If you want to do a bunch of physical damage, you gear him for physical. He does have one hybrid skill though, and that is his limit burst. Although you may not be using that skill, we'll talk about that. So let's get in here. Thank you guys so much for the support. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me and YouTube know. Go ahead, hit that like, comment down below how you think about Gilgamesh, what units you're waiting for, and how much fun you're having with that FF7 remake, because this video should be out after that game is released. So if you want to see us on stream as well, links down in the description for Twitch, and then come and hang out in the Discord with the community. It's a great place to be. So moving on to Gilgamesh here, his TMR is the Helmet of the Sworn. It is an actual helmet, 45 attack, 25 defense, 45 magic, and 25 spirit here for us. So it's a very nice helmet here. It's like a less version of a Carlet Super TMR in helmet form. A little bit better than like the Hat of Black Fox Shapeshifter Mask. This is going to be on your Gilgamesh 99% of the time. It's what you're going to want to be using there. Now the Super TMR is the Wings that Transcend Time. This is pretty good. 60% attack and magic and 50% true dual wield attack and magic there for you as well. So the units that are going to most likely want this are actually going to be your true dual wielding mages. A lot of the time Gilgamesh himself doesn't even need to wear this. So if you're wanting this for a character at all, it's going to be a true dual wield mage for that 50% true dual wield magic and 60% magic. That being said, don't feel too bad if you leave it out behind in the dust. There are other things that you can use around the same sort of way that you would use Wings that Transcend Time here. So very nice, but you're not even going to need it for Gilgamesh 9 times out of 10. We were going over Gilgamesh on stream. So a bunch of cool stuff you can do with him. You can make way without it though for him specifically, just because of the way that he is as a character. So equipment selection here, you have access to daggers, swords, great swords, and rods. Although rods, a lot of the time, you're not going to be using those unless you're building him for specifically magic. And then armor selection, no hats. But he does have his own TMR helmet, and he can wear helmets, light armor, heavy armor, and robes. No clothing, though, so keep that in mind there. Now we're going to move into his innate skills. He's a pretty easy character to go over here. He does have a couple of skills that you won't really use all that often, like Kotetsu. He's got a 65% defense break. He does have defensive barrier, which is a 20% general damage mitigation for your whole party there. He does have self-haste, which gives him 150% high tide for 3 turns to the caster, and then it's going to increase your limit burst gauge by 5 each turn for the next 3 turns. So a little bit of self LB gauge fill there. He has Healing Aura, which is a small HP and MP heal, 4,000 HP and 50 MP to all allies there, as well as Osmos Force, which is a little bit of an MP drain for your enemies, and it's going to hit you. It's going to hit your MP right where you want it to be hit, and it's going to fill it up a little bit. Now he also has Frostblade, which is a 120% Ice Imperil. All right, Chaos Wave Awakened Ice magic damage of a 12.0 mod. He also has access to Final Hour, which is a 150% magic buff for 3 turns all allies with a 60% ice resist buff. Haman here is a skill chain finishing ice magic damage 15 times mod with a 70% attack break for 3 turns to 1 enemy. And then Frozen Flash is going to be his ice physical damage, his big skill of damage dealing capabilities here. Absolute Mirror of Equity, ice physical damage 0.5 mod, ignore 50% defense for the first 7 hits, and then the backloaded part is a 5.5 mod with ignore 50% defense to 1 enemy there. It also is a 120% ice imperil for 3 turns to a single enemy. This is his go-to biggest damage dealing hits. This is because even though the mods here are low, you're going to get lots of ways to increase the multipliers to his skill. So his magic damage dealing skill is Frostblade, which is a 12.0 mod. That also will get some multipliers added to it, but it will never reach the potential of Frozen Flash for you guys there. He does have dual cast, which allows you to dual cast anything in his kit, and that's the final 6-star skill for Gilgamesh. The last 4 skills are going to be cooldown skills. The first one here is Transcendent Wings, his biggest cooldown, 6 turns, available on 1, 80% ice resist buff for your teammates, 56 limit burst gauge fill, so it's going to fully fill your LB gauge there, and it's going to give some multiplier increases to your skills, 4.75 for Frozen Flash, which is going to actually be multiplied 4 times because of the way Frozen Flash is. It's a front-loaded and back-loaded part, and each of those parts have ignore 50% defense. So it's going to get added here, and then doubled by this, and then added here, and doubled by this here. So very, very big increase to the multiplier of Frozen Flash. That's why it's your go-to bread and butter skill. It's also going to give a multiplier increase of 4.0 to Gleaming Blade and Shining Blade, and then a 6-turn cast of triple cast for you. So 6 turns of triple steel wings. He's got these big steel wings. He looks so cool. I love the way that Gilgamesh looks from War of the Visions. And Excalibur Shining Blade is going to be his first cooldown skill here that does damage. It's going to be a 3-turn cooldown available on 3. It's going to be your biggest hitting skill. Ice physical damage, 1.5 mod with ignore 50% defense, and then ice physical damage, 12.0 mod with ignore 50% defense to one enemy as well. It also comes with a 100% limit burst damage buff for 2 turns to himself, and it's going to be also Absolute Mirror of Equity, Chaining Frame Family. He has a mirror opposite skill, does the same sort of thing, Excalibur Gleaming Blade, but instead of it being physical damage, it's actually magic damage, and the multiplier is a little bit higher there. It's 2.5 and 18, both ignore 50% defense, or spirit I should say, and it's going to be 100% LB damage buff for you as well. So his final skill here is Quicken, which is pretty cool, and it's the most future-proof skill ever. It's a 99-turn cooldown available on turn 1, and it's going to increase the LB gauge of an ally by 1,000 LB crystals. So it doesn't matter if they come out with some character that's got like a 1,000 LB crystal costed limit burst, he's going to be able to fill it up for you. This also costs 255 MP, and it's a 99-turn cooldown, so you basically have to use it 1 time. It's basically like a Magnus ability without it really being a Magnus ability. Now, we did talk about how he is not really a hybrid character. His limit burst is hybrid, though, and it's called Flash, and it's an 80 times hybrid mod. Now, don't lose yourself in that multiply. Remember, it's a hybrid damage-dealing skill, so it's basically a 40 times physical mod and a 40 times magic mod, which is still pretty high there if you want to build him hybrid limit burst damage, which is a tough feat to do. He also is going to have 100% LB damage buff from using one of his 2 previous skills that you can do. It also comes with a 120% Ice and Peril. It also is very expensive at 56 limit burst gauge crystals, so keep that in mind as well there. Now, outside of that being his only hybrid skill, there is one small benefit of building him hybrid, and that is because if you build him hybrid, you will be able to use both Excalibur Shining Blade and Excalibur Gleaming Blade for a great effect, right? Excalibur Gleaming Blade is actually a stronger cooldown skill than Shining Blade is, but his Frozen Flash, which is a physical skill, is way better than Frostblade, which is his magic go-to chaining skill there. So his cooldown skill for magic is better, his general damage dealing skill is better as a physical skill. So if you want to go for just physical, that's going to be generally the best way to build him for a lot of people out there, unless you're going against a low spirit target, and then you build him for magic, and he's going to benefit from that low spirit on that target. Now, his one weakness so far is that every skill he does use, if you've paid attention, they're all ice. There's no way to get him out of ice element. So you always have to be doing ice damage with him. If you're going up against an enemy that absorbs ice, you're not using Gilgamesh. If you're going up against an enemy that has got like 300% ice resistant, you're also not using Gilgamesh. So keep that in mind when you're using this character. Now, as far as passives go, he does have multiplier increases to Frozen Flash and Gleaming Blade and Shining Blade and Frost Blade and Haman and Kotetsu. Gleaming Blade and Shining Blade, go-to cooldown skills. Use them, especially if you're building for that stat. When you have them available, just spam them out there every 3 turns. Spam them, and then outside of that, you're using Frozen Flash because it's very, 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 very strong. I think triple cast Frozen Flash. I think this multiplier gets up to like 40, 45, something around there. I do believe, which is pretty strong for you to be able to triple cast stats, and it comes with its own innate 120% imperil. So even if the boss is dispelling itself, it's very Aurora Frivia-esque, right? If you use Aurora Frivia before, where her big damage dealing skill is also her imperil, so you just no brain, no aim. All right, monkey, win the game. 120% imperil over and over and over and over as you're doing damage. He does come with 100%, I should say, attack and magic true dual wield. So you only need to make up 50% of your true dual wield from whether you do an attack or magic, which is very easy to do. He does have a little bit of defense and spirit passives. He's got a lot of attack passives. He has no passives that are tied to using a specific weapon, so you can use whatever your best weapons are that he can equip there. He also has a chance to counter attacks with Vengeful Ice and Clairvoyant Blade, which we'll talk about. He absorbs all ice damage taken, which is pretty great. And this is because, hint, hint, we talked about this a long time ago if you didn't catch it on the channel. We didn't also get this event for the character. I think we're just getting the character. But Gilgamesh from War of the Visions is actually Veritas of the Frost, if you didn't catch that video from months and months and months and months and months ago. And that's why he's got wings that transcend time, because War of the Visions takes place in the far past. And he basically, that's what happens to Veritas the Frost. He's like, y'all suck, I'm out. And he goes and gets this new armor and just teleports away. That basically is the story from what I know. All right. He does have true dual wield, 6x mod cap, base dual wield, 100% high tide, some LB gauge per turn, and some MP refresh. Now, you may have noticed they didn't have any attack buffs in his kit, but that's okay, because we'll go down to his conditional skills. Mystic Dash, which activates if you have his trust ability equipped, which you're going to put on that fantastic, amazing TMR hat of his. And it's going to give you a 200% attack and magic buff for 9,999 turns at the start of the battle or after being revived. It's also going to auto increase your limit burst gauge by 5 to 10 to the caster. So that's right there. That's where you get it. You get a permanent one as long as it doesn't get dispelled. Or if you die, it comes right back. So that's great there. Vengeful Ice is a counter that has 100% ice and peril on it. Clairvoyant Blade is a counter that does some damage with a 60% spirit break. Not that big of a deal. And then Armor of Discontinuity, what a word, is a 1000 HP barrier that you will also be able to get there as well as an auto cast at the start of battle or being revived. So it's going to give you a little bit of extra HP for him. So Gilgamesh is pretty cool. I don't think he's like a must-have or anything. He does have that one glaring weakness of always having to do ice damage, which could be, it just kills the character. If you can't do ice damage, you can't use Gilgamesh. Basically on those fights specifically. But outside of that, he does do really good damage. He can hit really hard. He scales really well with gear. He's also pretty easy to gear on top of that. And then he does have that flexibility of the ability for you to go for low spirit targets, low defense targets. He does chain Chaos Wave Awaken triple cast, so there's not a lot of triple cast Chaos Wave Awaken characters. There's a couple, but he also has triple cast Absolute Mirror of Equity as well. So he plays with a couple of the global exclusive characters that we got not too long ago. I'm counting characters like Lilithset and stuff that got buffed up because she's a triple cast Absolute Mirror of Equity character, and she does do really good damage too. So Absolute Mirror of Equity is in there. Physical damage dealers right now are kind of like in between Absolute Mirror of Equity and Stardust Ray, and he's on the AT chaining side, the chaining frame family, the chaining side I almost said there. So he's pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think about him down below. Don't feel pressured into pulling for him. If you like him, you like his sprite, you like his design, go for him, especially if you have that Omniprism laying around, you want a hybrid character. He's right there for you. Who knows what's coming out in the future? I think I do kind of have an idea, though, so I might have a video about that tomorrow. Might be coming out, so if you want to see that video, go ahead, hit that subscription button. We've got some nice hints at what to expect really soon, and hint, hint, it's stuff we've been talking about for quite a while. So come and check that out. Come and hang out in the Discord. Come follow me on twitch.tv. Thank you guys so much for the support once again, especially the Patreon and YouTube channel members. And until then, guys, I'll see you in the next one.